and our beliefs, considering what's happening in the world today. So our special guest today is Kristin Tatman. She is a transformational life coach. She's also on our success team here at beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. She is a speaker, a trainer, a coach, workshop facilitator, retreat facilitator as well. And so I've actually been on our stage as a speaker presenter at our first and second annual Women's Success Summit here in the greater Cincinnati area, an all-day women's conference for women in business. So she is just fabulous. She is here today to really just share some tips and some strategies on how we can manage through this challenging time. So welcome, Kristin. Thank you so much for joining us here today to share tips and strategies on mindset.
Yes, happy to be here. Excited.
I know, I'm excited too. I know I'm going to speak for myself. Certain times throughout the day that I know I feel overwhelmed or stressed out. And I continuously have to remind myself to just focus on the things that I can do and control versus everything outside or the outside world. So I don't know, how are you doing, and what are some things that people really around the world, around the USA and around the world can do to get through this time?
Yeah. Well, I think there's just so many things that we can be doing, and a lot of times we don't really know. We just get stuck in the overwhelm, and we feel out of control, and we feel like we're being controlled, and we don't feel like we have control over our lives. And I think it's really important for us to realize that, we are the creators of our lives with our thoughts, the way we're perceiving all of this, and the way we go through life and looking at life is we're creating it with our thoughts. And so we can either win in our own fantasy. If we're going to have a fantasy about what's happening or what the future brings, we can have a positive one, or we can have a doomsday fantasy. And so, I like to win in my own fantasy. I know you do too. And I think that's what's really important for us to be, to have this awareness that, our thoughts are creating everything out there for us, our interpretation, our view, our perspective. So we need to figure out, how do we notice what we're thinking, and how do we shift it into a different thought? And so that's some of the stuff that I'm going to go over. I've got some notes here, and I want to go over that. One of the first things I would love to do was to just teach everybody about getting grounded and centered, and the importance of that. Because, even coming into this today for myself, there's an anticipation, there's anxiety. It's like, I want to make sure that I show up in a way that really gives people what they need today. And for me, I call on, a higher source, whether you call that God, universe, whatever. I ask, what is it that I need to share today? And, how do I need to show up? How can I serve? And so, I get quiet, and I start to notice the fearful thoughts coming in. I get quiet and just say, okay, your mind is creating something for you right now. Why don't you just get grounded and get quiet and just ask? So that's what I would like to do. If we could just start with that,
Sure.
Just so I can remind everybody, it's real important to put your feet on the floor and uncross anything. And we're just going to close our eyes and take in a couple deep breaths. If you feel comfortable with that, if you don't want to close your eyes, you don't have to. But, putting your hand on your heart a lot of times helps you to get more connected to your body. It helps you to feel more present with yourself in that moment. Because a lot of times when we're having fearful thoughts and things, we're kind of outside of our bodies. We're so overwhelmed that we kind of feel like we're disconnected. And so this is a way to bring ourselves back at home. This is home, being with ourselves. So I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes for a minute, and let's go ahead and take a deep breath for those who are here now, and for those who come on later. Just start the practice, start this process with us here. So first thing you want to do is just, close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Put your hands on your heart just to get more connected to your feelings, and to be more connected to this space instead of your head space, because the head space isn't always where the truth is. The truth is a lot of times going on here, what we're feeling. We want to connect to the feelings that we're having. So I just want to invite you to go ahead and take a deep breath in through your nose, down into your belly. And then release that. And then take another deep breath in. and release. And then take one more deep breath in and release. When you feel comfortable, just open your eyes again. Just notice your body. Notice the difference that you feel in your body just in those deep breaths. You know, there's people that say a lot of the people who enjoy smoking so much is because of they take time to breathe and to get quiet and to get grounded. So the breath work is really important during these times. Whenever you're feeling panicked, I think for me, it's my first go-to thing. I notice immediately I'm starting to get out of control. I'm starting to worry. And I just stop myself and I find a quiet space. Even if I'm out, I'll go into a restroom and I'll just go in there and breathe for a little bit. So this is a really helpful tool that you have available to you all the time, which is really great.
Thank you, Kristin. I've got to tell you, I mean, when I finished my 3 breaths and my stillness and quietness, I've got to say that, I mean,
You're kind of
I can
frozen.
see how if you could,
Okay.
am I there?
Yeah, you're there.
But yes, it was very calming. So
yeah, it's, you know, it's available to us all the time. And I think we forget that we've got this one tool that is so powerful. It's probably the most powerful thing we can do is just to take some breaths in and just get quiet and calm our bodies down. It's amazing how, you know, we can show up in a space like this or show up anywhere and even wake up in a panic. But if we can just sit down and take some time to breathe and just to recognize that we're having thoughts that are causing our anxiety, that are making our hearts race, let's just get present and not think for a minute and just pay attention to what's going on in here and just allow ourselves to have some downtime. So you can do this for 5 minutes. You can do it for 10 minutes. You know, it's okay to lay down on the floor and just meditate and notice the thoughts that are coming in and then just push them away. You know, people say they don't know how to meditate. It's easy. The stuff comes in. You just tell yourself, oh, I'm not going to think about you. Think about the birds. Think about what you're hearing. Think about your fan on your oven, whatever, you know, you're just notice, just being present and being calm and getting the thoughts out is important. So today I wanted to just talk about, I left my little, I have 3 little quotes, but basically, you know, thoughts are things. Every thought that you have has energy in it, and it vibrates out into the world. And as much as we don't see it moving, our thoughts, every thought that we have is actually moving. It is energy. And as you put a thought out to something else, you put a thought out to another person. That's why when your mother calls you, when you're thinking about her, it's because you're thinking about her. I mean, our thoughts do travel. And so noticing the power of thought, every thought that you have is going to create your reality. So if you don't like the thoughts that you're thinking, you have to check in with yourself and say, I'm going to think a different thought. So, you know, that's the important thing for you to realize is that your thoughts do have power, and you don't want them to have power over you, right? So what we're going to talk about today is that the thoughts that we have, we can shift them. And I'm going to teach you how to shift your thoughts. I'm going to teach you how to think a new thought, because we have a choice in everything. Every time we have a thought, we can choose a positive thing or we can choose a negative thing, right?
right, exactly.
And, you know, it's like right now I have somebody that I was just talking to this morning that had a perspective of, you know, somebody else is not going to be in the office and they're going to be doing their work. And so their first thought is, this isn't fair. I feel cheated. I feel like somebody else is getting the easy road and I'm doing all their stuff. And so I said, well, what other thought could you have around that? And the other thought can be, I get an opportunity to shine. I get an opportunity to run this whole department. And I get an opportunity to show my company what I can do. And also our company, we have a printing company, and we're one of the essential businesses that needs to stay open. We do things for mortuary businesses and also for hospitals. So we're very busy with our printing company. And so the idea is, look at the opportunity. I get an opportunity to serve. Like, what thought do you want to have? Do you want to have a thought that I'm a victim and this is difficult and this isn't good? Or do you want to have a thought of, look at the opportunities and the potential? And in every single situation, we have an opportunity to change the thought. And boy, I tell you what, I just never realized this. My mom used to always say, I know this is exactly what's going on, you know, in my life. And she'd be like, how do you know? Like, from my perspective, it doesn't look like that. I'm like, no, I know. And so we get very much stuck in this, like, no, the way I'm thinking it is the only way, but it isn't the only way. It's your way for you in that moment. It's your thought, it's your belief, it's your pattern of showing up in the world that is creating this thought, and it's the way you've been trained, but that's not necessarily the truth. So as we're looking at what's going on in the world right now, we can choose to get into the energy and the thoughts that the world's, everything's coming to an end, everything's difficult, everything's hard, I can't make it through this. This isn't going to be easy. My life is going to crumble. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. We can have all those kinds of thoughts, or we can think other thoughts. We can think thoughts like, I will be able to pay my bills. This isn't going to be as bad as they're saying. And we also can choose what we allow into ourselves. I want to go make sure I'm hitting everything on my points. So, how we perceive what is happening to us is important. So we have to notice what we're perceiving and the thought that we're having, and then we need to reframe it. So during this time, as you're noticing a fearful thought coming in, just recognize that you are taking an opportunity. Your mind is choosing to terrorize you and to scare you in that moment. So notice that you're scaring yourself and say, okay, I could also choose a thought that is life-giving, that's exciting, that is positive. And a lot of you, I'm sure I can relate to. It doesn't feel life-giving. It doesn't, you're like, where do I find the positives? I don't know. And like you and I were talking about earlier, Carol, we have friends. That's when we need to reach out to somebody else that's a positive thinker, somebody else who, sees the glass as half full, and say, right now I'm spiraling out of control. I need somebody to help remind me that the world isn't ending for me and that I'm going to be okay. Sometimes we have to reach out to other people. We don't have to be in this alone. We don't have to lay in our bed and wallow. I mean, I've had several times. There's a lot of energy, and this is very heavy, what we're seeing and hearing every day. I've had several times where I've had to lay down and just shut myself off from the world for a little bit, and that's okay. But I'm not going to lay down and keep spiraling in the thoughts. I just allow myself that downtime to just get quiet and to notice that I'm safe, I'm in my bed, and notice where you are right now, because being in the present moment and just noticing that everything's okay around you right now can be really calming. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do know what you mean. And I'm sure, you're not alone. That's the main message I want to say is you're not alone. I'm not alone. Many people are going through this, and we're actually all going through it together, which is why I invited you here today, is to really share some tips and strategies and some insights that can be helpful to get us all through this time. So yes, I totally know what you mean. Yes, I've had a few of those moments myself, particularly maybe when it first kind of hit, and I gave myself like 3 days, and then I finally said, you know what, it's enough. 3 days, pity party, wallow in, I don't have control over what is going out in the world, but what I can control is how I am perceiving it, how I'm reacting to the situation, and what can I do? Make a list of things that you can do, you can control, and then take action and keep going, because you're right, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think you and I had that discussion before our call today, and I loved what you were talking about in terms of really get grounded and centered, and but think about the end results, the vision of, 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 90 days from now, what do you want things to look like for yourself? So personally and in your business. So yes, you're not alone. I'm not alone.
Yeah, we're all in this together. We're all having the same experiences. But it's about controlling our thoughts, because our thoughts are what are keeping us spiraled. When we watch the news, it's other people's thoughts. It's the media. They're saying things that are making us concerned and scared too. We have a good enough awareness of what's going on right now. We know that we need to be staying at home. We need to be, washing our hands and taking care of ourselves. We don't need to continue to see, numbers of people who are contracting this. We don't need to keep bringing all that into ourselves. That's not really serving us. I'm not saying that you need to put your head in the sand. I watch the news. At the end of the day, I don't allow any of that in the morning, because I start my day out in a really positive way. I do my planning. And right now we've got this opportunity to sit and plan. Some of us are still at the office and things, but a lot of us are at home. So we have an opportunity to sit and do some self-care, to do some exercising, to breathe, to plan out our day, to plan out our businesses, to plan out our vision for our lives, and having a vision. So this is one of the tools that I would highly recommend, if you're writing notes, to go ahead and write this down, is create a vision of what you want your life to look like at the end of this. Right now, the president's giving us a date, I think of April the 12th, that he hopes that we'll be able to go back to things as normal. Now, we've also heard that that may not be the case, but he's got a good idea. And they talked about this last night. The idea is that we've got to see where we're going. We need to know what we're heading for, right? So he's giving us a vision, and he's helping us to say, okay, now this is where we're heading. That may not be the place we're going to go, but at least I've got something to work towards. I've got a sense of hope there. And so you want to do the same thing with your life. Create a vision, write down on a note, on a piece of paper, what do you want your life to look like in the areas of your relationships, for example? Maybe this is an opportunity for you to grow closer to your kids, to maybe coworkers, or to a spouse, or, other business partners, for you to spend more time building that relationship. I mean, what a beautiful opportunity to have time to have a deeper connection with other people, doing it via FaceTime or, video, or just getting on the phone. But getting clear, what do I want my relationships to look like? And recognizing that there's going to be some huge blessings at the end of this thing that we don't quite understand right now. We're going to be different people. We've spent time by ourselves. We've spent time in our own thoughts more so than we normally do. We've spent time watching movies and relaxing and fantasizing in other people's worlds, watching, fun movies about opportunities or whatever. So we're getting more time to sort of dream. And it gives us this time to dream about what could life look like in these other areas, looking at your relationships, looking at your time and money freedom. I like to talk about the 4 areas of life when you're creating a vision, looking at, oh gosh, I can't even think of them right now. Isn't that funny? We're talking about your finances, your relationships, your time freedom, those kinds of things. And writing down, like getting really clear, take time right now to journal and write out, I love my life. I am so grateful for the time I've had to spend working on my relationship with my son, working on my relationship with my daughter. We've had more connection and more opportunity to talk than ever before. And I'm so grateful that our relationship is stronger than it ever has been. So you want to kind of write into the future about what the ideal scene looks like. So anyway, visioning is something that is really important. And I'm hoping in these next couple of weeks to just keep coming on my Facebook page. It's Kristin Tatman Coaching on Facebook, but to be teaching some more of this. So I'll be teaching some more, free classes about that. But so getting clear, what does your life look like when this is all over? Because this is going to end. This isn't forever. And we don't want to stay in the energy, this fear that, my world's caving in and I'm never going to live through this. We are all going to live through this. Not everyone's going to live through this. There's going to be some casualties, and there will be some people, but in general, the percentage of people that are going to get this virus is very small. And we just need to plan ahead and to think towards the future. So anyway, let's see. I'm going to look at my things here. Another tool
I love that you said that. We really just need to plan ahead and think about the future, and what are some things that we can do right now that'll set us up for success 30, 60, 90 days from now. And I know I am personally working on that. Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that we were talking about is our business. That's the other part of our lives. It's our vocation. Yes. What does your business look like? How can you serve in this time right now? How can you give back? A lot of times we can wallow in this, like, oh, woe is me. This is really hard. I'm going to have a hard time paying my bills. And, what if I'm not making the money anymore? How am I going to get through this? But, if you understand that the universe, the laws of the universe, the more we give, the more we receive. So if we can get out of this, wallowing in this, kind of victim mindset, which is so easy to get into because I find myself in it a couple times a day. But we can get into that space of how can I serve? How can I help somebody else, like sharing this video with somebody later, helping somebody else with their mindset. That could be a huge thing that you could do to help somebody else. So where can I serve other people? Because when you serve and give to others, you get the blessing. It makes you feel good. And that also will lift up our spirits and help us to, to feel more optimistic about what we're going through right now. This is a great opportunity for us to serve and give back to other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, so the first tool I talked about is that we want noticing the thoughts that we're having and then choosing a new thought. We have a choice in all thoughts. We can choose a positive or a negative thought. So notice your thought, notice if it's positive or negative. If it's not making you feel very good, it's probably negative. So if you want to feel better, you need to choose a better thought. So, reframing each of these thoughts to, okay, I've got this problem, but it's this blessing. I can't see my kids, but they're calling me more than they've ever called before. I'm, connecting in a deeper way. So my first thought is, this is really sad. I'm home by myself. I don't want to be isolated, and I feel punished. I feel like I'm a victim. I'm not allowed to leave my house. Versus, I get an opportunity to clean. I get an opportunity to organize. I get an opportunity to dream and to create my vision and to see where I want to go after this. I get an opportunity to have deeper connections with other people. I mean, look at all those opportunities versus this, I'm in my house, for me, I don't get to see anybody. Like, there's so many blessings, so many opportunities. And it's just about retraining your mind. And so that's the first one. The second one is limit, what you're taking in. We talked about that. Watch what you're bringing in on television. You may have a buddy that loves to send you texts about what's going on in the universe right now, in the world, and they're a doomsday person. They're panicking. They're going through a lot of stress themselves, and you're their sounding board. And so they're sending you pictures. I've got somebody who was sending me pictures of things, and I finally had to set some boundaries and say, you know what? This is not good for me. I don't need this. I'm going through my day trying to stay positive and work on the future, because I know the future is just around the corner. But right now, I don't want to receive this stuff from you. So I appreciate that you're concerned, and I love you, and but I can't do this right now. And they were like, oh my gosh, you're right. I don't realize I'm even doing that. So notice yourself. If you're the person that's sending the text, the fearful thoughts, I don't know how I'm going to get through this, my life is ending. If you're doing that, think about how you're impacting somebody else and pull that back in and say, you know what? This isn't serving anybody. I'm not helping the collective. I mean, again, I talk a lot about energy, and a lot of people don't really understand energy, but we are energy, and we are all connected. We are all vibrating out at a certain range. When you're standing next to somebody, you can feel their energy. When somebody walks in the room that you like, or maybe that you don't like, and you immediately feel their energy, they don't like you too. You can feel that. So we are all feeling everything that the other people are putting on us. So noticing that if you're, getting in negative energy from other people, or people are, they're making this experience harder for you, it's okay for you to set boundaries and say, I love you so much, but I need to do self-care right now. And for me, protecting myself from taking in all this stuff is really important. My mom loves the news. She watches it all day long. It's running on her TV 24 hours a day. I typically don't watch the news at all. The fact that I'm watching it every day during this has been a miracle. I haven't watched really the news in 6 years, very rarely, because for me, it's an energy drain, and I need to keep my energy up. So that's why I've been taking naps. I watch that and I take a nap, because it can be draining. And so we need to know our bodies. It's okay to take a nap, but it's okay for me to go a day without watching it as well. So I think that's really important. Notice, what you're allowing in, text, news, going on social media, maybe stay off social media so much. Again, take this opportunity for self-care to do what you want to do. Go take a hot bath. And when you're feeling inclined to go turn the news on and say, you know what? No, I'm going to go light a candle, and I'm going to go get quiet and play some soft music and I'm going to do something for myself. It's a great time for us to love on ourselves. Anyway, then we talked about the vision. And then another thing to do is taking time for journaling, and, doing some meditation, learning how to meditate. You can go on YouTube and pull up meditations. There's all kinds of really great meditations on there that you can play. There's all kinds of meditative music that you can play in the background in your house. There's people that will teach you how to meditate. So this is a great time for us to be learning. The things that you wanted to learn, that you wanted to, you want to improve your life, you want to have better quality of life, right now is a great time to learn. So go online and find some of the teachers, find people like my Facebook. I have a lot of different videos that I teach about mindset. So if you want to know more about mindset, you can go to my Facebook page. That's Kristin Tatman Coaching. But there are so many people out there that are teaching. Chalene Johnson is another one of my favorites. She's very good about, helping us get through this right now. So following those people who are going to give you the positive sides, they're not talking about doomsday. They're talking about what we can do to preserve ourselves and to make ourselves a priority. So, finding those people, that's super important. And like you were saying, doing the projects at home, there's so many things that we can do in our
Right.
houses right now. We all feel, I was reading a book the other day and the guy says, you're never going to get caught up. And I was like, oh, I keep saying when I get caught up, and I know he's right. I was kind of depressed. I was like, really? Did you have to say that? I want to read your book. But it was an opportunity for me to realize, okay, so I'm always shooting for something that's kind of never going to be my reality to get caught up. But this is a great time for us to figure out what's most important, what we do, what we value the most, and to really kind of weed out the things in our life that we don't need to be doing anymore. It's a great time for that kind of reflection. So anyway, those are sort of the tools that I suggest.
Right. I do. Those are great tools. Those are great tools. And I'm right there with you. I think this is a time to reassess, and also just think about the things that you've always wanted to do. And this is a great time to learn. And I know on Beautiful Faces Going Places, specialists in various areas that can help you in your personal life and or your business life. Take that online course or create your own course if you've always wanted to. I'm thinking this is an opportunity really to do some of the things that you've always wanted to do or accomplish or achieve, whether it's writing a book, starting a podcast, creating a program. I mean, there's loads of things as a business owner or entrepreneur, or just as an individual that you've wanted to do. Now's the time to do it. And and just stay in action and in motion.
Yeah, I love that. And, one of the things you can do too that just came to me that I think is really important is to sit quietly and ask yourself, what do I want right now? Like, this is a great opportunity for us to be alone. A lot of people don't like to be alone with their thoughts, and they don't want to be alone. And that's because they terrorize themselves with their thoughts a lot of times. And they don't realize they're doing it. Now, hopefully today people realize, oh, I've been terrorizing myself. Okay, I can choose to create a beautiful vision of, oh, my life's going to look like this in a couple months, or this is what my life, and have a catastrophe. So don't terrorize yourself, and just sit with yourself and say, what do I want my life to look like? And what do I want right now? I have the opportunity. We have this incredible inner guidance system that we've been given, and it has the answers. We have the answers inside. A lot of people will say, well, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know what to think. I just am so overwhelmed. And I just encourage you to sit quietly, put your hands on your heart, get your feet on the floor, and just ask yourself, what do you really love? What do you really want? Like, what is it that we really want to do right in this moment? What do we want to do in this month? What do we want to do 60 days from now? Like, I've always wanted to write a book. So sit down, start writing the book. But check in with yourself, because your inner knowing knows what you want to do. And, so often we look outside of ourselves for everybody to give us the answers about what it is that we need to be doing and what's wrong with us. We all think there's something wrong with us and that we're broken. We're not broken. We're all perfectly made. We've all got all the tools inside of us. A lot of us just don't realize that. So, and maybe we've been given a story from parents or somebody else that told us that we weren't good enough or something, but that's not the truth. The truth is each and every one of you has the ability to create your own life and has the ability to make a difference on the planet, if that's what, calling you to do. So everything's important, no matter what it is. If you're, selling cars, or if you are, helping people look beautiful through, doing nails and hair, whatever. Each one of our roles and each one of our jobs is important, and each one of us has a very important role on this planet. And, so to build yourself up and to look for the gifts and just really do what you love. Because when you're doing what you love, you have nothing but joy, because, it's hard work doing what you love, but it's also your soul is speaking to you. Your soul is asking you, for this. And if we've got this opportunity now to sit and be quiet and to listen to that little voice inside. And I think we can reframe this thing as what an opportunity we have to take care of ourselves for the first time in probably a long time.
I absolutely, totally agree with you, Kristin. So thank you so much for sharing these, really helpful tips and strategies, and really reflection on how to manage through this time. And I personally am looking forward to the next 30 days, 60 days, and have been working on my business versus in my business. And yeah, I want to encourage everyone out there to do the same, and also take some time for yourself. Make sure you go out and enjoy some fresh air, go for walks every day, and reconnect with your family and loved ones, your business partners, and think positive thoughts, because your thoughts do create your reality. And we have that's the one bit that we can control. Exactly. Is our thoughts and how we react to circumstances. So
yeah, and I think as you're saying, right. One thought on that is, we feel very much out of control right now, and it's important for us to understand we are in control. Every thought we have is creating the reality. So we have control. We have control about how we're perceiving everything. We've just got to change the thought, and then we have control. We are in control of this. We aren't in control of what's outside of us, but we do have control of what's going on inside. And that's the most important thing that we can do right now.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Kristin, thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing your insights on Mindset Matters. And if you're interested in learning more about Kristin Tatman, you can go to her business Facebook page, Kristin Tatman Coaching. And she also has a website as well. So reach out to Kristin. Yeah. And let's stay connected. And thank you so much, Kristin, for sharing with us today on Mindset Matters.
Yeah, thank you, Carol.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.